So I want to get your reaction to this. This is from Greg Price, Tulsi Gabbard, who you met with because they would not let me in the White House for to refresh to
They were
refresh.
like, "Look at this guy wearing flip-flops in the old executive office building and shorts. What kind of a ruffian is he?"
To be fair, I still do not have a real ID. They would not allow me in the White House. I do have a passport, so that's how I can get in. But
And he was wearing a suit, to be fair. I just like to throw shade. Go ahead.
I think a jacket. I definitely got ripped for not wearing a full suit, but it was nice pants and a jacket, which basically is about as dressed up as I get anywhere. But this is from Greg Price. DNI Gabbard just declassified. I'm reading his tweet. Greg does really good work. DNI Gabbard just declassified a draft presidential daily briefing. You used to be involved in some of these back in the day, which is why
I
I want to
wrote
get
I
your
wrote PDBs. Yes.
I want to get your read on this from December 8, 2016, in which Obama's intel community assessed Russia did not impact the 2016 election. And I'm going to read a opening here, and I want to get your take on it. We assess Russia and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities. Russian government affiliated actors most likely compromised an Illinois voter registration database and unsuccessfully attempted the same in other states. Election monitoring and the type of systems targeted, infrastructure not used to count or cast votes, make it highly unlikely it would have resulted in altering any state's official vote result. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale and sophistication necessary to change election outcomes. Possible government affiliated Russian actors could have extracted voting data. But again, we don't think Russia really impacted the 2016 election. This is significant, I think, because they laundered this through the media to create the idea of Trump is the Manchurian candidate. Vladimir Putin put his scale on the election. That's why Trump won. How would you assess what I just read to you in your experience on the presidential daily briefing? How important would this lack? It's being declassified by Tulsi's team. I don't know. You tell me what you think about this. This was supposedly from December 8th, 2016.
Well, it's useful. I'm glad she's declassified it, but it goes in the we already knew they were lying and it was all a fabrication. So how much does this really do to move the conversation or move perception? It's another data point for something we already know. That's it doesn't change our mind. It just solidifies what was already quite clear and has been for years, which is that not only was Russia unable to do anything meaningful to affect the 2016 election, but the Democrats knew that, didn't care, and lied about it. So to me, Clay, it's a little bit like the Biden dementia cover up stuff, except this is now going back almost 10 years. The Biden dementia cover up still has more psychological and therefore political importance to the American people because it was in the most recent election. And so it doesn't tell us anything we don't already know. For example, if someone else just pleaded the fifth to your thesis about them being worried about, maybe they are getting a little bit worried. There was a third now Biden White House staffer who has pleaded the fifth, or it's come out that he's pleaded the fifth. So to me, is it significant that there was a PDB in 2016? Yeah, it would have been really significant from 2016 to 2020, so we could have avoided the whole Russia collusion absurdity, which did hurt the country and was used, unfortunately, somewhat effectively against the Trump administration. The process is the punishment, one of my favorite phrases. But this is a little bit of yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? This is in the yeah, of course file. The intelligence community was aware of this at some level, and yet it was suppressed. And Democrat partisans, the deep state within, decided to run publicly with a very different storyline.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the biggest part here. And I I feel a little bit sometimes on the show, like one of the things that we can provide particular benefit to you on is you have the intelligence background, which is why I wanted to ask you about the PDB, something that I've never been involved in. and you're involved in media as well, but from running a media company, the degree to which, and this is something that even stunned me that I would not have known beforehand, but seeing it, like, what do they always say? Like, people who have seen how the hot dogs and the sausage is made would never eat it. Like, if you run a meat packing plant, you are not excited when you get to a ballpark to say, "Hey, give me a hot dog," because you've seen, like, how nasty it can be behind the scenes and what actual is involved in a hot dog. That's kinda how I feel about the media. And the thing that I would say the general public doesn't understand enough is they launder stories, even if they know they're not true, through partisan hacks in the media to then use to cite for the truth of the matter. And that might sound a little bit confusing, but once you start to see it, you can't not see it. In other words, it's one thing if they would come out and say, "Hey, based on our background research, here's a video of candidate X saying Y." They don't do that. That's actually way more honest. "Hey, Kamala said this. Let me share it." When they do that, it's very transparent. They will go to the media and they'll say, "Hey, we're going to hand you this. Can you write it at the New York Times? Can you write it at the Washington Post? And then we're going to cite your reporting as if we didn't create it ourselves." They launder stories. And when I see this with the DNI that now Tulsi is bringing out, the really diabolical thing is when they launder stories that they know are untrue. And here, the entire Russia collusion, Trump is 100% right about this. And yet we still haven't had a lot of accountability, frankly, any, based on these documents that are coming out. They knew that Russia didn't somehow rig the 2016 election. I have told you on this program, we bought Facebook ads. I ran a media company. Facebook ads are expensive. Some of you out there have small businesses. You bought Facebook ads. If I could spend $100,000 and turn my business into a billion-dollar business, it would be the most effective ad campaign of history. If Russia could spend $100,000 when people are spending billions and swing the election, it would be the most influential intelligence buy in the history of mankind. It didn't happen. They laundered this through people who should know better, a lie, and they basically tried to destroy the entire first Trump term over it. My reason why I bring this up, are they trying to do the same thing with Epstein now? Are they? When I saw that this Wall Street Journal story, it actually made me think. We talked about it some in the first hour. Trump was criticized for saying this is the Russia collusion hoax all over again. But I think when you look at it in retrospect, he knew this story was coming. And now they're going to try to attach him to Epstein in a way to knock his momentum down, even if they know it's not true. Is there a connection there? Can we learn from history and think about what they're attempting to do now? I think that's a really, to me, prescient analysis that you could be putting in place here, thinking about what they did before.
We are reminded, though, of the line from Omar in The Wire: "If you come at the king, you best not miss." They have come at the king many times, including shooting at him, as we know, and have missed, or in that case, well, missed by enough that he's okay. But they've come at him legally. They've come at him medically. They've come at him spiritually. I mean, they've thrown everything at Trump. So I would say this, Clay, even if what you're saying is true, and maybe it is, maybe there are elements now that are realizing, because one thing about this is they can't take Trump down. They know they can't take Trump down while he has MAGA behind him. It just doesn't work. They cannot separate. Their attack. It doesn't matter what they say. They will not take MAGA away from the Trump side of the equation. They think maybe on this one they can create some daylight, or they can, get into those fissures. They can exploit the gaps. But I would say the other side of this is they've thrown so much at Trump so many times that I think that the likelihood is this all just gets filtered. This gets filtered through another time they're trying to smear this guy. Another time they're trying to manufacture something to create some delusion here and use it for political ends. And I think that MAGA has seen it too many times, and they're not about to fall for it now. That's my real sense of it.
Well, second question for you. President's daily briefing, to be fair, I think I said this was like December 8th, 2016. The daily briefing can change based on what the intelligence shows, right? So you could give, I'm guessing, you tell me, the briefing on December 8th could be very different than the briefing that you get on December 15th. Is that fair to say? Because the intelligence gathering can continue to shift. So maybe there is some report out there where they said, hey, we do think Russia had a more impactful, but
Well,
we're not getting
oh,
all of them.
do you want me to put my little CIA bureaucrat hat on for a
Yes.
second?
Yes.
Oh, this is Clay. This PDB is just a snapshot in time. There was more information, more intelligence that came in, raw intelligence that after it was further verified and analyzed was much more substantively pointed in the direction of Russia interfering, oh, the interagency process, and we were doing our coordination. We were looking at the various verticals here of where this intelligence was coming from, and with our source verification, we came to the conclusion that they'll just talk you in circles, man. I mean, they'll come up with whatever they want to say at the end of the sentence was the conclusion. They'll find a way to get there. Trust me. So that's the other part of this too. This is a data point that they will say is among many. Just look at what they've said. Oh my gosh, George Bush, he didn't do anything about bin Laden determined to attack in the U.S. Well, that's a pretty broad thing, everybody. It's a big country.
Yeah.
And it's a long time to just know that somebody wants to hit you. Like if I told somebody, hey, there's a guy out there, and one day he's going to walk up to you and punch you. Okay. When? Where? How? So there's a lot of ways to manipulate the PDB as the snapshot in time, depending on which way you want to go.
When you just
I've briefed the PDB to the president, so trust me, I know.
When you just did the bureaucrat double, triple speak there, I hate meetings.
I know your head hurt.
It makes my head hurt. I hate meetings. Anytime somebody's like, hey, can we get together for a meeting? No, I don't want to meet on anything. If you can't text it to me, I don't need to know it. I think that meetings almost always are a colossal waste of time if you actually do something do they have meetings at mechanic shops? Like, hey, we got cars to fix, but first let's have a meeting where we sit around. Do they have lots of construction meetings? If you actually build something, to me, meetings are almost always worthless, or fix something, or are constructive in any way towards making something that didn't exist before. I might be the most anti-meeting person on the planet. And all I see every time I walk into a government building, I'm like, it makes the hair stand up, and not in a good way, where I'm like, they have so many meetings here. I cannot imagine having meetings all the time. Every home has it makes me feel sick to my stomach. Every home has a fire extinguisher, usually in the kitchen, no brainer. But what about self-protection tools in the event of a home invasion? That should be a no-brainer. You can get them from our sponsor, Sabre, spelled Sabre. Website is saberradio.com. Sabre makes the #1 pepper spray brand, trusted by law enforcement. Pepper gel projectile launcher, man, non-lethal. You're going to love this. Just trust me on this. We have every one of their products, 50 years of family-owned business. Go right now and just look at everything they have. I guarantee you're going to like a lot of it. Saberradio.com. Just go look. 15% off right now if you go to sabreradio.com, dodge your meetings, and go to saberradio.com instead. That's 844-824-SAFE, 844-824-SAFE.